Hi, I'm Adam Blair. I'm the editor at Retail TouchPoints, and I'm here at House of Showfields talking to the CEO and co-founder, Tal Zvi Nathanel. How did the idea for the store and the rotating brands come about? And do you think, what was the big idea behind it? Was it about putting fun and wonder back into retail, or you tell me?
Yeah, so I think that there were kind of two things that happen in conjunction. One as a consumer, right, living in New York and traveling a lot, I started noticing in recent years that I'm bored. Okay. Streets of New York, Paris, Milan, Tel Aviv, Tokyo, they all look the same. And none of them have what kind of me or my friends are buying. The irony of it is that there is actually more things, more innovation, more cool products today than any other time before, right? Because very low barriers of entry in recent years to creation. So we have so many beautiful things out there, and yet the streets looks the same. So that's kind of the first thing that happened. And then we kind of, when I met my co-founders, Amir Zwikel and Katie Hunt, we kind of went into a room and we started asking, why is it so? And then the first answer we got into our heads was that unlike online, where it's really easy to start, physical retail is hard. And it's actually getting harder every day. And what it takes today to kind of catch up with the needs and wants of the customer makes it even harder every day. So our thesis and then plan was, can we turn retail into this type of a platform where we can allow all brands, small to large, to have a physical presence to their brand? Because in the essence of it, we actually believe that all brands in the world should have a physical presence, a physical point where you can meet, touch, engage with the brand, feel the product. What you see here and this all, building filled with brands is basically the first step of it, right? This is a space where we allow brands to very easily open a store. And as a result, the customer can walk in and just kind of, explore, discover, engage, and obviously shop all of those beautiful products that he could not see or she could not see until today. So when we thought about kind of the House of Showfield, the idea was, can we stretch the borders of what's kind of possible and take to the extreme almost this engaging moment between a customer and a brand. So this is kind of how the idea started from. Then we asked ourselves, what is the narrative? What is the story that we want to tell? So it always starts with a story. Huge part of retail is content. People many times, by the way, mistaken words like experiential or Instagrammable because they really like to use it. But all of those words that we like to use usually come to describe how you do things, where content is the what. And this is how the House of Showfields started. What is the story that we want to tell? And after we kind of knew that story, which was kind of to bring you this to this journey of curiosity and getting you to this almost like a scene where you yourself feel like an explorer and you are a part of this journey. Then after we knew kind of what is the story that we want to tell, it was very intuitive for us to connect the brands because they're a part of the space. So it starts with the content, it starts with the story, the narrative that we want to tell, and then the brands kind of fall naturally in place because they kind of each fit perfectly to one moment in that story.
So there's an overarching story about curiosity and wonder. Are there individual stories? I understand that different levels of the store itself have different feels, different looks, kind of a different experience for the visitors.
We historically opened the building in phases, right? So the first floor was open, it was the first floor that was open. And then gradually across, let's call it almost a year, we've opened the rest of the building. So because of that process, we kind of originally had floors which were kind of cluttered in certain types of verticals. So the first floor was the wellness, and then it was home, and then it was fashion and design. As we kind of constantly change, and the whole building was open to the public, we were able to then gravitate towards to where we think it should be. And that's one big experience of discovery and wonder. When we go into department store, we are used to think, this is the home, this is the clothing, this is men, this is... So one of the things that we try to challenge is that I think that one of the beautiful things about retail is serendipity. Serendipity can happen when you get lost. And in certain ways, that's kind of what we try to do here.
Is there any concern, or did you hear any pushback from anyone about the experiential elements ever overshadowing the brands or the business of selling things, which is what retail is involved? And how do you find that balance between exactly what you've been talking about, the sense of wonder and curiosity, and the hard-headed retail side of it?
It's a great question. So the answer is 100% yes. If you think about it, this is the first time, I think, in the world that anyone ever kind of forged commerce and theater in such a way. We try to put things in boxes, and every time you do something for the first time, you kind of need to try to in what box to put it. This is like the platform. This is an amplifier, right? This is the medium where kind of the message goes through. So as long as the content is the brand and their story, then this whole experience from a user perspective is only going to be around the brand. As long as you understand that the space itself is kind of the stage, the narrative is the overarching story, and the actors are basically like the storytellers, and what they're telling is the story of the brand, then you basically understand that there is nothing to kind of fear for, because this whole moment is really not about, like most places here, they're really not about Showfield. They're meant to be a stage for the brand. The thing is that what customers are looking for today is a lot. Today's customer is extremely curious, is extremely sophisticated. She's very educated. They are looking for more than before. And creating this for brands, surely like emerging brands or smaller brands, or even big brands, is just kind of hard. So our goal was to build this platform to give you like the best of what's kind of possible today when it comes to retail, and to kind of allow all brands to have access to that.
What kinds of measurements or metrics are you using to see how successful you are at achieving those kinds of goals, which are, as you say, there's multiple goals, and you're dealing with a lot of different people. How are you measuring it?
Yeah. So we kind of measure it always in, if I need to simplify what the things that we measure are always two things: brands happy, those are the brands, and customers are happy. Right. Now, it's very oversimplifying it. If I need to break it down, then we want to we actually measure. We are very. It looks very theatrical, but we are actually a very data-driven company. So, and we understand that for our brands, the fact that we made retail accessible, and the fact that it cost 10th or 1/15th to be in Showfield compared to doing a pop-up, still brands are looking to see a return on their investment, right? Sure. So we are very cautious and very data-driven with everything that we do. So from tracking how is our messaging when we start to kind of promote, the House of Showfield, to how people respond, to how many people purchase tickets, to how many people came and walked into the door. Is the number of people who walk into the door increase every day? We do surveys in the end of the experience periodically to see how do people, what was their experience, what was their feedback. In everything that we do, like a startup, we always create a feedback loop. So we create something, that's our first assumption. Then we collect the feedback, we change, we constantly measure. So that's kind of on our side to see how it works. From a brand perspective, the space itself and part of the service that we give to brands is a very elaborate network of sensors. So we track everything that happens in the store. So brands know, brand get to see how people engage with their product, how many people, demographics, what product was more engaging than kind of the other. They obviously see sales. And I can tell you that the trends that we see after the House of Showfield are actually quite fascinating and obviously positive, because you literally see that brands that were infused that kind of were a part of that experience actually seeing increase in sales and increase in conversions. So there is something about, you kind of, I think kind of being off guard within the experience, trying the product, feeling with it, but not feeling like you're being sold, because you're really not. You're actually helping that scene as a part of it, and you're doing something.
Is there one area or floor that seems to be, I don't know, attracting more attention, or people are having a particularly positive response? And do you have a favorite spot? I know it's hard to pick favorites if it's like picking your favorite child.
I think that one of the beautiful things about the concept of, or the intention behind Showfield, is that we try to create a space that would constantly change. So to begin with, we've built a space in a way that allows us to change brands and experiences every few months, because we want you to not be able to resist to come in every time you're next door, because you want to see what's new. You want to meet those brands. So because of the nature of this building and like our business model that allows us to do so, my favorite point, and by the way, I always do have a favorite point, constantly changes. So like when we just opened, it was this corner on the first floor. We had this beautiful bat, and then when we opened the second floor, it was actually another section in the second floor, and then we opened the slide, and it was like amazing, and then we've launched the roof deck. So it changes. And that's what I like about it, because I see, we see a lot of returning customers or returning explorers. And when they come back, you sometimes see them come with a friend and be like, oh, you have to see this. And it's not there anymore. Right? And what they see is not less exciting, but that's exactly the point. So it's there, but it's constantly changing.
How long do you anticipate the combination of the artist's work and the brands continuing here? Is this something you're going to continue on for a while? Is it going to be a limited time? And do you anticipate the potential of doing it anywhere else, any other location? For
us, this was like the latest part of the show. And our goal is always to give our brands better tools to engage with customers and to create better results and better experiences for customers walking through the door. As long as we are able to achieve those goals, we will keep on pushing it. Also, we are constantly changing. So I think that what's going to happen is that we are experiencing very high demands for the House of Showfields.
People have to reserve to come.
Yeah,
they have to get.
Yeah, it's completely free, but
Right.
you do need to reserve so we can kind of manage, the traffic, because we want everybody to walk into the door to have a good experience.
Sure.
And it's a personal journey, so you need to kind of have the right way to do so. So we are experiencing very high demand, so that's why we kind of decided to even though in the beginning we thought it's going to be 30 days. We then extended it because we want to make sure that as many people as possible get the chance to see it. But to your question, I think that what's going to happen next is that we are going to have a new show. And if you're thinking about like what Showfield is trying to do, our goal is to actually open more and more and more Showfields in other kind of very big cities around the world. Our goal is to open 2 or 3 more in the next few months.
Wow.
And so naturally, the show is basically just going to move from one to the other, and then another show is going to come, and they're going to constantly change. If this experience of commerce and theater is what we see right now is the right platform, that's what we'll do. And if tomorrow it's going to be, something else, that's what we'll do. We are in the business of being a platform and giving tools. And I think that that's what makes us the most interesting store in the world for the customers, because we can kind of empower those brands.
Tal, thank you so much for speaking with Retail Touchpoints and Touchpoints TV, and for sharing your point of view about House of Showfields, and also letting us tour the place because it looks fascinating. Thank you so much.
Thank you for giving us the stage to share our vision. I'm very excited to always have you back.
Thank you.